Hello viewers, me and team here. Welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls. We are now in Anor Londo. And as a result, the game is going to get a little bit more challenging than it has been to this point. Really, it's a progressive challenge from the start to the finish of the game. Well, at least from the start until Anor Londo. But the difficulty spike from, say, Lower Blighttown to Sens, and then from Sens to Anor Londo, is considerable. So that's something to keep in mind. But still, if you come here prepared, it's not that bad at all. And I hope to show that in this part. Still running around in my Elite Knight set that I apparently got myself killed to pick up. And I could have just done any number of things. I could even run back to the bonfire rather than that. Or just run up to the boss gate, whatever. But I failed, so whatever. And I thought I would kill him in one hit there, so I didn't follow up, and he rolled out of my stun because of it. Whoops. But yeah, this is a precarious area no matter who you are, unless you're like over-leveled for it. Because the painting guardians, especially up on the rafters, can stagger you and cause you to fall. Or they can just kill you if you're lightly armed, for that matter. So you have to watch out for just dying outright too, because that sucks. But if you're high poise, then you're not moving particularly well, and you can't dodge all that well. Although you can tank through attacks and swat at them. If you're using a bigger weapon, you have to be careful that your attack doesn't send you off the edge. This is one of those areas where I dislike the camera when you're locked on. I think they could do a lot better with the locked on camera suddenly spinning you in a direction. That can be a big problem. I've actually died in Firelink Shrine because I killed an enemy that I was locked on, and then the camera moved like a moment later than I thought it would, or a moment later than it usually moves. So I started moving forward and the game just turned me to the side and I ran off the edge and died. That's pretty obnoxious. I've also died just once running up towards, you where I just was on the roof there, running towards the window. If you sprint through that and you come in at just a slight angle, the game will like oscillate you left and right, and it'll throw your controls. And that's also, I think that is a legitimate instance of fake difficulty. If I'm hitting forward on the camera should, if I'm hitting forward just straight forward and nothing else, the camera should not be jerking me left to right and then altering where I go as a result of that. But, minor. After all, I have only actually died to it once. But that's why you saw me take that a little bit slowly, so that I didn't wind up just walking off the edge. So the rafters are a tough spot. One thing I could have done to make it a lot easier on myself is I could have just switched to the lightning spear. That's given to you for a reason, and if had I been using it, I would have had a much less precarious situation up there. Essentially, you can just block and then poke the enemy and kill them, and not have to worry about swinging yourself off the edge or taking damage or poisoning through or anything. That's probably the easiest way to handle the rafters, is just put on the lightning spear as long as you have at least 10 dexterity and poke at them a little bit. I guess you need enough strength to one-hand the spear too. I think that's like 11 strength. Most classes can handle it by this point. And I'm just running through all this stuff. It's a lot easier than fighting it, and a lot faster too. Interestingly, when I've tried to roll at that spot, I get hit a lot, but when I just run, sometimes I don't. And there's their tried and true spear poke that shoots electricity on you. Now here I'm deliberating between shields, and I'm just going to run the highest ability shield I happen to have on me, which is sadly the spider shield. Its poison block is worthless here because nothing inflicts poison. But it has one more stability than the heater shield, and I'm mid-rolling either way, so I might as well use it. I only have one problem with these archers. These archers are a source of much sadness, much tears, much hatred for this part of the game. And if you don't have hidden body, as you can see, they're shooting at you the whole time. They're aware that you're here. Now, my issue with them is not their knockback, or their ability to push you into the pit. My issue is that these arrows that they fire will curve around mid-flight. I have been knocked off and killed while up on this edge here because the other archer, on the one that's behind me, He shot, and then as I ran, the arrow curved to go around the ledge, and it knocked me into the ground. And then as I got up, the other arrow hit me, obviously. I wasn't able to move, because this game will let you take hits while you're flattened by some attacks. And that really irks me. Like, arrows shouldn't curve mid-flight. I'm sorry. Even magic, it's questionable. I can see it, though. It's magic. But you can use those weapons, and they don't work for you that way. Your arrows do not curve to hit the enemy. It would be a lot better if they did. And that's just a cheap death, man. How am I supposed to account for something I can't see curving around a pillar to hit me? It's stupid. But alright. In this particular run, I didn't die at all. So, no harm, no foul. Onward we go through Anor Londo. Now this is interesting. Whenever I've tried to summon here, when I'm not recording, I'll summon and have a lot of summons fail. I think the Way of the White Covenant really makes a big difference. Or like Sunlight Warriors or Princess Guard if you're on New Game Plus. Obviously you can't be in Princess Guard yet, as you need to have beaten this area to use Princess Guard. Stun lock! Interestingly, you cannot stun lock them with a hammer, like say the reinforced club. It doesn't work, so bear that in mind. That would be a difficult way to die later on in the level. I'm pretty much only down here for the Occult Club. One thing about the Occult Club is that you can, at any blacksmith, cancel its ascension, so it becomes a Divine Club plus 5. That looked a little awkward. And a Divine Club plus 5, that's good for the Catacombs. You don't need to make your own Divine Weapon. You can just use the Occult Club to kill any skeletons in the Catacombs. So they don't come back while the Necromancer is still alive. Now, I think that's actually more important when fighting Nito, and doesn't really matter in the Catacombs. I can run down any of the Necromancers and kill them before they go anywhere I can't reach. So the skeletons are relatively easy to deal with in the Catacombs once you know what you're doing, even if you don't have a Divine Weapon. But that's not true in the Nito fight. The skeletons will harass you, they will do damage, and if you're low poise, they will stagger you. And that's a problem when you have an otherwise slow enemy who really is probably one of the easiest of the 4 lords. But when you have him beating on you like that, it's really difficult to deal with the damage that the combination of Hitstone and Nito attacks have. Now, he will temporarily disable them with his own attacks, so you have that. But it's still not ideal. Man, I don't usually get that first try. I can usually get it in a couple tries, but not in just one. And that shortcut lets you bypass pretty much all of the interior of Anor Londo here. Pancakes! And then I miss. And yeah, that poke hurts. This area is no joke at base vitality. And I'm still at base vitality, unfortunately. But the poison armor helps. That's another situation too. If I didn't have the armor on, what would have happened there is I would have been hit by the attack and then stunned. And then after being stunned, he would have been able to hit me with the follow-up attack just like he did. But because I was stunned and I took more damage from the attack because I wasn't wearing armor, I would have died. So it makes a difference. And because of the amount of poise I had, I was able to take 2 hits from him without dying, which is also very handy. This opens up a shortcut right back to the bonfire I was just at. And now we have another Silver Knight. Let's walk up to him. Pancake! And another pancake. Nice and simple. That one actually went well. And here we have the Silver Knight set. And I get lucky, he actually drops the Silver Knight shield for me too. I mean, obviously you can just farm for those. And if you put on the Gold Serpent Ring and have a few humanity, it doesn't take that long to get them. Because you can literally kill, like, oh, I don't know, 5 or even just the 3 Silver Knights down here and run back to the bonfire. So it's not like it's that hard to get it, but it's convenient that I got it. It's got good stability. And I'm pretty well committed to mid-rolling for this run, so I'm not too worried about that. And yeah, even with all that on, I'm still mid-rolling, so kind of like that. This is also, people wear the Knight set a lot in Dark Souls, and you don't see the Black Knight or Silver Knight sets as much because they're not as efficient. But they are Twinkling Titanite upgrade armors, and that does influence my choice in using it. But for now, I'm just using it because it looks cool. Alright, so I try to summon a Phantom because I just got invaded. I'd forgotten I was on online mode. It's pretty rare to get invaded when you're running through the game and not really trying to level up too much. Obviously, I'm prioritizing my weapons and, you know, pyromancies and stuff more than levels. But there he is, and he's throwing Lloyd's Talismans at me. Now, I disagree with his tactics here. This is silly. I'm not damaged yet. If you get a backstab or something, or your enemy's hurt and you think they're about to Estus, sure, Lloyd's away. Or if they're not ready to dodge it, again, perfectly acceptable to Lloyd's, but that was blocking me from using Estus, which I never even had to try to use. And then you get caught in a stun lock. You can get out of those stun locks. All you have to do is toggle your weapon or shield. And I feel like that's a reasonably trading glitch for dead angling. In other words, you can be hit stunned while your shield is up because you're getting hit by somebody who's facing a different direction, or more like a 90-degree angle away from you or the same way as you are. Wow. I don't know how we both whiffed there. So you can hit people like that, but they can toggle out of weapons that are designed to stun lock them if they get hit by them. And that really does nerf down things like hammers, it nerfs the Zwei, it nerfs a lot of the heavier hitting strength-based weapons. And that's part of the reason people favor dexterity so much in Dark Souls, and well, also Demon Souls. Although Demon Souls strength weapons had better movement sets, and well, I say that, but I wasn't as experienced in Demon Souls. Anyway, that is the reason that the stunlock threat from weapons isn't taken as seriously, and that strength weapons aren't given the love that they would have otherwise. I actually looked for Sigmire here, and I'm not sure why he didn't turn up, honestly. But we'll get there. That's the only reason I'm going through the level this way. I'm trying to continue that quest path, and I don't see it. It would be useful in the comments if someone told me why he didn't appear here, since I did talk to him at Sen's Fortress, and get to the point where he's talking about his head would spin if he tried to roll through the rocks or whatever. So I'm not sure why he didn't turn up here, but he didn't. Otherwise, I would have just gone straight to Ornstein and Smough, but, you know, well. So I'm going to be coming up on that part here, where he would normally be standing by the window. But he isn't, he's just not there. So that's confusing. I took a quick look to make sure this is the right place, and it is. That's where you would fight the 3 Silver Knights, and he'll chastise you for killing them, saying that you're reckless or whatever, but he also thanks you for doing it. So, I figure, well, screw it, I'll just continue on to the boss then. And so down we go. And this is pretty much where the shortcut takes you. I didn't kill the Titanite demon off to the left there. I think that one's a pain, so I don't deal with it. I will off-screen eventually go kill the ones in Sen's, just in case on this character I ever want to use a dude with Demon Titanite, or not a dude, a weapon that needs Demon Titanite. But for the time being, I'm not. Run over here. I'm not going to say hi to the giant yet, or am I? Yeah, I guess I am. And I think I do neglect to pick up the Hawk Ring. You can get the Hawk Ring without killing him. I've heard that some people did not realize you could do that. But you can just, like, roll through the barrel over there and pick up the Hawk Ring. There's a chest hidden behind where he is. Oh, okay. I remember what I was going for here. I'm trying to upgrade this way as much as I can. So that's why I came down here. It's possible to beat Ornstein and Smough with this Zwei +5, and when I fight them, you'll see why that is. Essentially, its stun lock capability is actually a factor against both. So what you can do is, if you one-hand R2 you will briefly, very briefly, but you will briefly stun Smough. Even Super Smough will be stunned by two-handed R2. And Ornstein will be stunned by two-handed R1s, or sometimes it's not really consistent with the two-hand R2. I think he needs a little bit more poise damage than that before you get to Super Smough. And yeah, I'm just looking to get my way to +10 here. I don't really have the means to go beyond that. I could make it a lightning elemental weapon, but I don't want to do that right now because the boss fight coming up, well, they resist lightning. Ornstein more than Smough, but lightning is not a very good element to use against them. You can use like an upgraded lightning spear and take out Smough, no problem. But if you go in there and do that, you run into problems because then you get Super Smough and he's going to take like no damage from your weapon, and you're going to have no real way of doing damage unless you can use the crystal halberd that you pick up. And I guess that's one way you could run the game. You could just upgrade your lightning spear to +5 and then use the crystal halberd for ONS. The question is farming chunks. If you're speedrunning, that's really the issue. It's difficult to get chunks, or at least enough chunks to make your weapon maxed out. So a lot of weapons rely on Twinkling Titanite, or something like the Gravelord Greatsword, which you can use Demon Titanite to get. It's tough, man. And that was no problem. I guess that guy had dropped an item there. It's usually a Dragon Slayer arrow when that guy drops an item. Plunging attack. He blocked that second one, which is kind of annoying. I don't know how you block a plunging attack, but apparently if you're a giant, you can do that. I think it might be technically possible to block for a player character too. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think it's possible. Yick. Poise or not, you take 2 of those, man, you're going down. But alright, we're going to try and take on these guys one at a time. Avoid the shield bash. Yeah, get some good damage in. But no, that giant came back, and that's kind of annoying because now I can't interrupt that healing. The pathing stuff is very interesting for these guys. Very interesting indeed. Because like that guy was running away and then he came back and attacked me. But I don't think I was in an area that would normally be his aggro range. I'm trying to bait out an attack here. I'm not sure how I took a little bit of damage there. Lovely. Yep. This is one of those games. That was not smooth on my part. I really should have been able to handle that. I apologize for making you guys watch me make that run again. I'll do better next time, I promise. That was a bit of a facepalm. I should have just rolled out of that and healed, and then I would have probably been able to kill that giant, and then kill the other giant and summon Solaire, and that would have been fine. But no. Not even gonna bother trying to summon. Whenever I'm not in the covenant that is like Way of the White, I really struggle to summon. I can sometimes summon a guy, but... Oh, you can't block that attack you just saw, by the way. It won't let you. It'll go through your shield. But yeah, like it'll even say summoning them, and then not summon them. And it'll take forever to tell me that the summon failed, and it'll take a long time before it'll let you try to summon somebody else. I heard that was even worse when the game came out. But that's frustrating enough where I often just don't want to bother with it unless I'm in the covenant that extends the time that the signs are there. Because I feel like, okay, if you have the sign there and you summon them, and they're not being summoned by somebody else with higher priority, or they're not being summoned by somebody else first at that exact moment, you should be able to summon them. I think that would make co-op multiplayer a little bit more accessible and a little bit less frustrating. But maybe that's just what Way of the White does. It lets you usurp other people when they're trying to get summoned. And in that case, it would make sense. But I don't have any like objective evidence to confirm that that's what's going on. It's just something I've started to suspect. Because I've noticed, like, the few times I have been Way of the White, like I start the game as a cleric and don't join any Covenant until I join Dark Wraiths, I have a much easier time summoning. Now, obviously, that doesn't apply to NPCs. Stabbed in the face. So yeah, I think this is the best way to bring in Solaire. You draw the aggro up here, and then have Solaire come down. Because then you can deal with these guys 2-on-1, and it makes dealing with them a lot more doable. And yeah, compared to last time, that went so much more smoothly. Block this stuff. And I have Solaire to help me deal with damage. That shield is very forgiving for the giants. You have to watch out for it. You probably want to get at least to the side or even behind them before attacking, because then, like, if you attack even sort of in front of them, their shield will pick up a lot. So you have to watch out for that. Solaire got a hit stun. I don't know how he managed that with his one-handed straight sword, but man, that hurts. I don't know what your stats are, Solaire, but you're a badass. If only you fought a little bit more intelligently in boss fights. Okay, in the previous part I said that Tarkus is the best summon, and it's true. I would probably take him in any boss fight except for like the Moonlight Butterfly boss fight, because he tanks and does tons of damage. So he's a very powerful NPC summon. However, because of the boss fights that you can summon, I think Solaire is actually the most useful summon, because he helps you out in quite a few fights. If you're willing to sack him, even the Centipede Demon fight. Or take the shortcut, I guess, but then you don't need to fight the Centipede Demon. But especially because he helps you in this boss fight. He's a very useful summon to have. Because what he'll do is he'll distract. Even his damage output is reasonable. It's not like he's just bad damage output or anything. And that was awful. If this were New Game Plus, I'm dead. But it's not, so I got away with that. But you really don't want to eat one of those shoveling attacks. But yeah, the distraction is the bigger factor. He does do decent damage, as you're seeing. He's actually out-damaged me to this point. Although now I'm getting hit stuns in. And this is why the Zwei is viable at +5 against them. Because you can stun them. You will do the same poise damage at +5. So like I could hit him a second time here, hit him again. I really should have done 4 two-handed R1s there, because I would have staggered him a second time. It's very powerful. And Ornstein's almost down. And Solaire still has almost 3/4 of his health. So easy peasy. Now, it's probably stronger to kill Smough first. Ornstein gives you better items. He gives you the Leo Ring, which does bonus damage on counterattacks. Really powerful on spears, halberds, even the pickaxe. Anything that does piercing damage gets Leo boosted. That includes bows and crossbows. So that's a really good option. But Ornstein is harder to deal with once you kill Smough. Smough, on the other hand, he has higher poise armor, and it's decent armor, but probably not as good as stuff you can just pick up in Anor Londo, such as Havel's, or buying Giants, which has better defense and just as good a poise. So Smough isn't as good in that regard, and his soul is really only good for his hammer, which isn't that good, honestly. It does a lot of damage. It's a really damaging weapon, don't get me wrong, but it's just so easy to backstab people who try to do anything with it. And geez, that almost killed me. That butt slam attack that he's doing right now will kill me in one hit. But yeah, that hammer, not only can it be punished if you miss, but you can actually block it in PvP and return attacks on the guy. Like, it's ridiculous. And because it doesn't sweep, it's really not very good for dead angling either. And it has the highest strength requirement in the game. It's just not all that good of a weapon, unfortunately. It's impressive damage, almost always will stagger people unless they have max poise, but it just doesn't do enough. It has the same poise break as my sword, actually. So, okay. Once Solaire is dead, and he usually will be in this fight, what you do to cheese this fight is, well, if you have a weapon like mine, you can actually stagger Smough in one hit with that running attack. And that makes this fight really silly, because he can't even follow up attack you when you run around after he commits to an attack. But yes, this is what I call pillar trapping. I think most people call this pillar trapping. You can shoot him with a bow after he does his shovel attack here. You can crossbow him after he does the shovel attack. Well, you can shoot him with a bow anytime because you can aim it. But you can crossbow him after the shovel attack, the arrow will hit him. And so you can literally just play circled games with him the entire fight once you get to Super Smough. Or you can just wait till he commits to a bigger attack and do a running attack and then get away. But basically, by using the pillar, he really struggles to hit you at all. And that makes the second half of this fight a lot easier on any new game. So it's really just a matter of getting through the first half of the fight if you fight Super Smough. Now, the trade-off is that you don't get the Leo ring. On this build, I don't care about the Leo ring. I'm going to be using other rings over it anyway. But if you want the Leo ring, you probably want to work on Super Ornstein first, and that might be a little bit more challenging. But if you're just trying to get through the game easily, solid option is right here. Just summon Solaire, take out Ornstein while Solaire is distracting Smough, and then pillar trap and cheese Smough to death. And suddenly one of the hardest fights becomes easy. Quite easy for that matter. Yay! Alright viewers, that concludes this part. I'll see you in the next one. Me and team signing off.